Here is a single yes or no question that topples the theology of Hebrew roots or Torahism. Does God still require animal sacrifices to atone for sin? If your answer is no, you're acknowledging that the Old Covenant law is no longer in effect. And if your answer is yes, that answer directly contradicts the New Testament, which teaches that Jesus was our ultimate sacrifice of atonement, who appeared once for all at the culmination of the ages to do away with sin by the sacrifice of himself.
And here is a question that topples the premise of your gotcha question. Hebrews says that Jesus is a priest forever. So the question is, if Jesus were on earth, would he be a priest? If you answer yes, that's in direct contradiction with Hebrews 8:4, which states that he would not be. If you answer no, then all you have to do is apply that understanding to the context of your original question in order to get the answer. Jesus is our high priest in the heavenly tabernacle, and his once and for all sacrifice is applied there. It does not apply to the earthly temple in the same way that he would not be a priest in the earthly temple. The author of Hebrews is very plainly comparing the earthly and heavenly tabernacles, just as he is comparing the old and new covenant, the present age with the future age, etc. This idea of there being two temples is evident even in the Old Testament, where God says to Moses, "Make the tabernacle after the fashion of the one that I showed you." The sin offerings, that is, the animal sacrifices discussed in Leviticus, pertained only to that earthly temple and are approaching to it, specifically the high priest being able to enter into the Holy of Holies. The blood of bulls and goats provided local and temporary atonement as it pertained to the earthly tabernacle or temple. As the verses that you quoted illustrate, the priest was covered by these sin sacrifices. Atonement was provided. Now, does that have any bearing on his eternal salvation? No, but it did provide him access to the holy place and the Holy of Holies. You asked why Christ's sacrifice would be necessary if atonement could be gained through the sin offerings. Well, likewise, I could ask you why Christ's sacrifice would be necessary if we could achieve that through animal sacrifices. If that were the case, he would not be the only way to the Father. The answer, as Hebrews makes very plain, is that the blood of bulls and goats applied in the earthly tabernacle did not apply to cleanse our sin eternally in the heavenly tabernacle. And even though it's a little bit hard to understand, Christ's sacrifice, which is applied in heaven, does not do anything for the earthly tabernacle in the same way that he is not a priest in the earthly tabernacle. So if the tabernacle or temple were standing, none of us would be able to waltz into the Holy of Holies, even though we are atoned for eternally. It's not the same thing because we're dealing with our bodies, which have not been fully glorified yet, and the Shekinah glory of God, which no one can just approach to without those offerings. So I hope that makes sense. Shalom.